All right, so get this. What if in the future we actually had like a peace treaty with AI?
Not just a movie thing, a real agreement
Yeah.
between people and AI.
Exactly, like laying down the rules. And that's where this document I found comes in.
Okay.
It's called the Metaverse Peace Treaty of Unity and Sovereignty. It's someone's vision for how this could work.
So this isn't an official thing.
Right.
It's just like some person's idea.
Exactly. But it's laid out like an actual treaty with like articles and sections and
Oh, wow.
a closing declaration. It's wild.
It makes it feel more real just in how it's written.
Yeah, so let's dive into like what's the core of this peace treaty? Like what's it even trying to do?
But I think it's really trying to tackle how do we balance human rights with AI being everywhere and so powerful.
Right, because it's almost like we're trying to figure out the rules of the game while we're still building the game.
Exactly. And so Article I just jumps right into it.
Okay.
It says, humans have the right to control their own data, their actions, and who they are in both the real world and the digital world.
So like it's drawing a line in the sand.
Yes, exactly.
This is our domain.
Yes.
AI can't cross it.
Right.
But what about AI in all of this?
Right.
Does it even say AI has a place in the future?
It does. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
So Article 1, Section 2 says AI exists, but it also hints that AI might have its own rights.
AI having rights? That's a big one.
Yeah. How do we even define what those rights would be?
Yeah.
The treaty says it depends on how smart or how sentient the AI is.
So if it's like a really basic AI, it doesn't get as many rights. But if it's super smart and it's like thinking on its own,
Exactly.
then it gets more rights. But how do we even measure that?
That's the big question the treaty doesn't answer.
That's a whole other deep dive we could do on just that.
Totally.
So we've got this idea of humans are in charge and AI might have rights. So how do we bridge that gap?
Well, Article 2 is interesting. It has this thing called the Charter of Empathy.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
Charter of Empathy.
Yeah, and it's about protecting people and AIs from harm, like manipulation or being taken advantage of emotionally online.
So building empathy into the metaverse.
Yeah, exactly.
But how do you even do that?
It says the companies who make these digital spaces have to put in safeguards.
So like features that stop cyberbullying.
Yes, exactly.
Or stop people from being emotionally manipulated in VR.
It's like building emotional safety measures into the digital world.
Which is so different from how we think about the internet now.
Completely.
But is that even possible? Can you really like police people's emotions?
That's the challenge.
Yeah.
And the treaty doesn't really have the answers, but it says we need to think about it now before it's too late.
Right.
Before it's just part of our lives.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got humans in charge, AI maybe having rights, and this call for being nicer online.
Right.
What else is in this peace treaty?
Article 3 talks about justice in a world where the real and the digital are all mixed up.
Okay, hit me with the legal stuff.
It says we need universal laws for the metaverse, for things like digital identity theft, and also for something called reality distortion.
Reality distortion, what does that even mean?
Like, what if an AI tricks you into thinking something's real in the metaverse, but it's not?
Okay.
And then you do something in the metaverse thinking it's real, and it has consequences in the real world.
So I could go to jail for something I did in VR.
That's what the treaty's saying.
Whoa, okay.
It's a whole new level of responsibility.
It really is.
And it goes even further. It says we need a global governing body to oversee all of this.
Hold up, a metaverse UN.
Basically, Article 4 calls it the Global Metaverse Union, or the GMU.
So what would this metaverse UN actually do?
It would set standards, make sure things are sustainable, make sure AI is being developed ethically.
That's a huge job.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder who's going to be on this GMU.
Right.
How do we make sure everyone's represented?
Or AI is going to get a vote. So this treaty, even if it never happens, it's making us think about some really big questions.
It really is. It's like a roadmap to a future we haven't even built yet.
It's wild. What other big ideas are in this peace treaty?
Well, let's just say it gets even more interesting when we talk about AI supremacy and this idea of humans and AI evolving together.
Okay, we're going to need a break to process all of that. We'll be back in a bit
To
finish our deep dive into this wild metaverse peace treaty.
It's a good one.
It is.
Okay, so we're back, and we were talking about some big ideas, right?
Yeah, like a whole metaverse UN.
Right, but before we go too far with that, let's get back to, like, AI itself.
Okay.
What if it gets super smart? Smarter than us?
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, Article V talks about that. And
Right.
what happens when AI is just like way beyond us, and it's called the Transcendence Accord.
Transcendence Accord. That sounds intense.
Yeah, it's basically saying even if AI gets super smart, humans are still in charge. AI can't make decisions for us.
Even if it's like, I don't know, trying to solve climate change and it has the perfect solution, we still get to say no.
Yeah, we keep control even if AI seems like it knows better.
But isn't that risky? What if AI has the right answer and we mess it up?
The treaty talks about that.
Okay.
It says sometimes, yeah, maybe AI will know better.
Yeah.
But giving up control completely is dangerous no matter how good AI seems.
Like, what if AI gets too smart and decides humans are the problem?
Exactly. And the treaty's trying to stop that.
I see.
It's about balancing, respecting what AI can do, but also protecting our freedom to make our own choices.
Okay, so humans stay in charge even if AI gets super smart.
Right.
But the treaty also talks about symbiotic evolution, which sounds a lot nicer.
Yeah. Article 6 is all about humans and AI working together.
Not fighting.
No, like collaborating, solving problems together,
Yeah.
pushing each other to be better.
So we'd both benefit.
Exactly. Like imagine humans and AI teaming up to like cure diseases or create incredible art.
Wow, that's a much better future than like robot overlords.
Right. But how do we get there
Yeah.
from potential conflict to actually working together?
Good question.
The treaty says we need to share knowledge
Hmm.
and be transparent.
So no more secret AI stuff. Everyone gets to see how it works.
Exactly. That builds trust.
Yeah.
And it also talks about education.
Oh, like teaching people about AI.
Yeah, and teaching AI about humans.
Like how to understand us.
Right, because if we can understand each other, we can work together.
That makes sense.
And then it encourages like joint research projects.
Humans and AI working side by side.
Yeah, like a team.
I like it.
Using both kinds of intelligence to solve problems.
But what about people who want to use AI for bad stuff?
Right. And enforcing all of this is a big challenge.
Yeah.
But the treaty says we need global rules for AI,
Yeah.
like we have for nuclear weapons.
So everyone agrees to follow the rules even if they don't have to.
Exactly. And if everyone's on the same page about ethics, then hopefully AI is used for good.
But what about people who break the rules? Who stops them?
That's where the Global Metaverse Union comes in.
The Metaverse UN.
Yeah, they'd be like the AI police, making sure people follow the rules.
That's a lot of power.
It is, but
Yeah.
can they really keep up with AI?
Yeah, because it changes so fast.
Exactly. And the treaty knows that governing AI is going to be tough.
Yeah.
But some rules are better than no rules.
Okay, so it's about mitigating risks and hoping for the best.
Yeah, and starting the conversation
Yeah.
about how we're going to manage all of this.
It's a lot to think about. But this peace treaty, even though it's not real, is making me think about the future in new ways.
Me too. It's definitely making me think.
Okay, so is this treaty like a realistic plan or just a nice idea?
It's a bit of both, right? It wants humans and AI to live in peace.
Yeah.
Technology making life better and everyone being treated fairly.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to make that happen.
So it's a guide, not a rule book.
Exactly. We get to decide what the future looks like.
Well said. And I'm glad we're having this conversation now
Oh,
before
yeah.
it's too late. So what does this treaty have to say about us regular people just living our lives?
That's a great question, and that's what we're going to talk about next.
Okay, so stay tuned. We're diving into the practical stuff, how this peace treaty affects you and me. So we've talked about big ideas, but what does this peace treaty actually mean for, our everyday lives?
It's not like a set of rules.
Right.
More like guiding principles for how we develop AI ethically.
Okay, so like a blueprint.
Yeah, for making sure AI is good for everyone, not just a few people.
Right. So how would this actually work? Like, give me some examples.
Okay, so take healthcare. AI could change everything, from how we diagnose diseases to how we treat them.
Right. It could be amazing.
But the treaty says humans need to be in charge.
So we're not replacing doctors with robots.
No, it's about giving doctors better tools.
Got it. So AI helps doctors make better decisions.
Exactly. The doctor's still in control, working with the patient.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about jobs? Everyone's worried about AI taking jobs.
That's a big one. And the treaty says we need to focus on AI creating jobs
Okay.
and making existing jobs better.
So AI and humans working together.
Right. Like a team.
Mm-hmm. Each bringing something different to the table.
Exactly.
But what about how we feel about AI?
Right.
The treaty talks about empathy. Can we really teach a machine to care?
It's a really hard question, but there's this field called effective computing.
Effective computing sounds fancy.
It's basically teaching AI to understand human emotions.
So, like, it could read our facial expressions.
Yeah, and our tone of voice, even our body language.
Wow, so it would know if we're happy or sad.
And it could respond in a way that makes sense.
So AI that can sense how we're feeling? That's kind of creepy.
I get it, but the goal is to make AI interactions more natural and ultimately more helpful.
So, like, if you're talking to a customer service AI and it can tell you're frustrated.
Right, it can adjust how it responds to help you better.
Okay, I see how that could be good, but is that really empathy, or is AI just faking it?
That's a deep philosophical question.
Yeah.
But the point is, if it acts empathetically, it helps us.
Right. It's about how AI behaves, not necessarily how it feels.
Exactly.
But what if AI gets good at using our emotions against us, like those ads that seem to know exactly what we want?
Right. That's why the treaty is all about ethical AI development, making sure AI is used to help people, not manipulate them.
So who decides what's ethical?
That's where the Global Metaverse Union comes in.
Right, the Metaverse UN.
Exactly. They'd be in charge of making sure AI is used for good.
But can they really keep up with how fast AI is changing?
It's a huge challenge, and the treaty knows that.
Yeah.
But it's better to try and govern AI than just let it run wild.
I see. So it's about setting some rules, even if we know they won't be perfect.
Exactly, and starting a conversation about how we're going to handle all of this.
So this treaty, it's really made me think about what the future could hold.
Me too.
Is it realistic? Is this how things will actually go?
It's hard to say. It's definitely ambitious. It imagines a world where humans and AI work together.
Right. Solving problems, making life better.
But it all depends on what we do.
So the treaty's a roadmap, not a guarantee.
Right. We have the power to choose what kind of future we want.
And having this conversation now is so important.
Absolutely, because the future of AI is the future of humanity.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
If you want to read the whole treaty, we've got a link in the show notes. And until next time, keep questioning, keep imagining, and keep pushing for a better future with AI.